So today we are doing a nice simple watercolour exercise by painting Liquorice Allsorts. This really brings home to students how to paint light to dark in watercolour. As you can see, I've got a lovely bunch of Liquorice Allsorts here which may get eaten later. And what I'm going to do is scale them up so they fit the page. Here's an example of one I did earlier, and it's such a jolly picture. And it's beautiful, simple colours and shapes, so it's quite confidence building, I find, and it's a nice exercise to do. So what I'm going to do is use a viewfinder. Nowadays a lot of people actually take photographs of things, but actually using a viewfinder I think works much better. So here I have just two L-shaped pieces of card, and I'm just going to hover over my Liquorice Allsorts and see where I want my composition to be. So I think I want to probably start with that one and then work out. So to scale things up is that you start with one and then relate all the others to the same, to it. And as you can see, we've got some nice colours here. So I'm going to start actually drawing with a watercolour crayon. Caran d'Ache, they're always very useful for watercolourists. I tend to use light blue because that kind of disappears into the painting. It's also a hangover from doing old-fashioned art for reproduction that blue would never show. Red would always show, blue would never show. So you always did your marking up in light blue. I'm just using a very simple set of Van Gogh watercolours, and I'm probably only using about 3 or 4 colours. And I've got some various brushes here. This is a size 8, I think. It says, oh no, it's a size 6, Van Gogh. This is a size 8 Sea Whites, I think, and this is a size 5 Pro Art. So a little variation on brushes. So as I said, I want to start with that one, and the idea is that if you start quite big, by the time it reaches the edge of your page, that is where your viewfinder was. So here we have a nice big chunky one, a bit lumpy. And I'm going in there, so if I start, maybe go a little bit bigger, and it's a little bit squarer. And the nice thing about crayon is you can either actually use a rubber and it will disappear, and then or you can use water, just spray it with water and it disappears. So then I've got this big old pink one, which I've now come to think of as toilet rolls, because that's how they look when you start. And this exercise will show you how you can paint dark over light. So there we have that one, and then I've got a brown one sort of doing this in this little chunky way. So you see that's fallen off the edge of the page, and then I've got that one, and I've got this tube, so that's sort of like that. And I'll have a tube here, which is kind of a fat tube, be reasonably scribbly, and then we've got this, I've got an orange one over here, which is shorter than that big one, but it is quite square. And then we've got this one here, so I'm relating that one to that one, and then that one to that one to that one, and then that one to that one, and then I've got this sort of harlequin-y one. There we go. And the nice thing about this is that you can paint all the light washes first, and then you come back and add the darker washes on top. And then we've got these peculiar knobbly ones. I got a pink one over here. Yeah, leaning on the knobbly one, so it doesn't actually go that far, does it? And I can see that. And then it's got this Battenberg cake effect here. And then I've got a yellow one. Ooh, I've gone really wrong there. But I'm just going to grab a rubber and realise how wrong I've gone. So I can just rub this out. And I want to put that yellow one in, because the yellow loo roll, which I shall put here, which is not really circular, it's kind of lumpy. And then we got this pink one here, which is just coming on the edge here. And another orange one over here. What's that doing? No, that's doing that. So I can rub this out. as I say, I tend to use these watercolour crayons. I find them very useful because they will disappear into the paint. And with pencils, sometimes you can rub it out after you put a wash on, but sometimes you can't. And so I've got this lumpy loo roll, and then over here got this big chunky pink one, which is kind of going round a corner, and that's a corner. So it's just basically simple cubes really, or rectangular boxy things. And then we got this knobbly blue one, which I don't know if anybody actually likes. And then we have a brown one over here. So I'm just relating where that corner is hitting this Liquorice Allsort. I always use this lesson as a basic watercolour lesson because it's quite simple and fun. Lovely bright colours and simple shapes, and you can get confidence with layering on dark to light. Ooh, that's gone wrong. Never mind. So that's that, and then we got that doing that. Maybe I should shift that one over a bit. I'll shift that one over a bit. Okay, over there, and then that one, and then I've got a pink one here. Pink, 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 which is sort of there. Yep, pink, pink, pink. Hitting another loo roll over here. You can't quite see. So what was I? Pink one, blue one, another blue one on its side, and that's my other pink one, which I think I might make a bit bigger. And then we've got a loo roll over here, and a black one. Black one here. Oh no, we've got a brown one here. It's kind of a mental puzzle really, which I think why painting and drawing is good fun and good for your brain, because you are solving this little mental puzzle all the time. I have noticed that mathematicians are really quite good at doing observational drawing because it's just a puzzle. You're just filling in a puzzle. So this is just a puzzle. So loo roll, white one, black one, which is sort of here, and an orange one. So that's the... Is that a pink one? No, that's the pink one. And I've got lost, having said smugly that it's just a mental puzzle, and now I've got lost. And then we'll put another orange one there, and we've got a pink one there. Right, so basic watercolours. I'm going to use my biggest brush I've got here. I'm not doing huge layers of washes, so I'll probably get away with just using this one. And I will go in probably with the yellows first, because that yellows are very prone to being mucky. I'm just going to move that out of the way for a sec so I can test out my colours and see if I like them. That seems to have a bit of green in them, talking about being mucky. Maybe I'll get this deeper yellow. They've got a nice deep cadmium yellow there as well. So I just want to clean my yellow and make sure it's the right colour. Okay, so I'm just going to mix up a nice puddle of wash of your yellow. So you've got enough wash going on that you can just grab it when you need it. Maybe a little bit more, and I will test the intensity of that colour. And let's get painting. So my first yellow one is over here. So I'm just going to paint that. I drew myself a little border just to make it give me a bit of wiggle room, but I'm not going to be too worried if I go over the edges. So there you are, one yellow one, and we'll have another yellow one over here. Again, being able to pick up my wash, and if you notice I'm painting over where the black bit goes, because with watercolours you can paint dark colours over light generally, and it's a good way of getting used to how that you can do that with watercolours, because some people would leave the black bit, but it doesn't matter, the black will sit on top of that quite happily, and that's not the best one in the world. And you can see my blue line is dissolving, and if you find it irritating you can have a bit of a scrub and it will dissolve because it's a water soluble crayon. So I'm just going in here, and then where else do we have yellow? So it's 1, 2, 3, and we've got a bit of yellow going on here. Let's pop that in. There we go. I don't want to be advertising, is it Bassett's Liquorice Allsorts, but they have the best colours. I've had a few others and the colours weren't as good. So I put on my yellow washes. I need to let them dry so I can add shadows. So I'm going to go on to the pink now. So with pink, I'm just going to test out here. We were given a magenta, which is quite pink, which is not bad. That's pretty good. So I'll probably use mainly that one. And I'm just going to test out this. This is Red Madder, I think, in the Van Gogh set. And that's not quite as good as a match. So I thought that was a better match for the strawberry one. Maybe a bit of that. But I'll show you the cadmium. You think, oh, that will make pink. But in fact, it's very intense. And it makes more of a warmer pink. So we don't want that one. So I'm going to stick with the magenta and make a big old puddle of magenta. So I can paint me pink ones next and see about the intensity of the colour. I think a little bit more, and then that is probably okay. Okay, so where are my pink ones? So I've got a pink one over here. Let's just paint that pink one. Pink, 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 pink. There we go. And you want to paint them big. I have done this exercise with, I think, some people in the DuPont in a previous life. But what you want to do is make sure you're painting big. You don't want to just paint Liquorice Allsorts on the plate. That's a bit dull. So we're going a bit abstract by blowing them up. And they're such lovely colours. So where's my next pink one? Oh, haven't got that one. So we got that one, and so it must be that one. So this is my next pink one. I'm a bit aware that wash is wet, but I think we'll survive. And can you see, so I'm painting the outside edge, and then as a rule with watercolours you just want to move the wash backwards and forwards and not worry about it too much. And don't worry about any sort of blobs you have there. There I am worrying about blobs, because the water will sort that out. So another pink one was over here, I think. Just looking at it, so I'm just going to take that up a bit further. And I think that is wet, but never mind. Gotta crack on. So I'm painting the whole thing pink because I know I can add the black later. And maybe I shouldn't have done that, but never mind. And I'm just going to leave that wash. So pink one. Yeah, what's this? That's the blue one. So this is a pink one. As you say, it's sort of a mental puzzle, really. So that one, that's the blue one. So this is pink, basically. So I'm just going to go in there and paint that pink. So what I'm doing, I'm painting the lightest colour of the Liquorice Allsort first, and then I shall go back and add shadows to make them seem a bit more cube-like. And this comes down here. That's right. And that's sort of hiding behind there. And there's a pink one as well. So I think I'll paint this pink one. And I can paint over the whole thing, because I can add the black later. So obviously I'm going to be waiting for bits to dry. Wish I hadn't done that, but never mind. Perhaps I'll reverse it and make that the black bit. So now we've got orange. An orange one. So actually the cadmium will be ideal for that. So this is the cadmium and a bit of the yellow. I'm going to take the deeper yellow. So you've got this much deeper yellow, and let's see what that produces. Oh, that looks like orange to me. With a bit of water, that's ideal. So where have we got an orange one? We got an orange one over here. Ooh, that's one hell of an orange. So as you can see, I'm just dragging the wash around. And I just want to keep my brush on the paper all the time and drag the wash around. And maybe go down here a bit. Who knows how? See, I'm fiddling now. And then got an orange one there. Not there. So that's that one. That's brown. Ah, there's a bit of an orange one over here. I'm just going to paint that orange. to paint that orange, which has got a bit light, and I'm going to fiddle. I shouldn't fiddle, I'm just going to lift off a little bit because that's got a bit dark, I think. And then I'm just going to have to mix up a little bit more orange. I could take some of that, a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit more of that, and hopefully we'll have an orange. So it's always useful to have a test piece of paper when you're working with intense colours. So I've got pink, I've got brown. Oh, I might pop an orange one in here anyway. Okay. And then that's that one, and then that's an orange one. Okay, if I can figure out what it's doing, I'm not entirely sure, but let's go for it. So it's at a sort of an angle to that one. I'm just making it up now, but never mind. And then there are no more oranges to be had, I don't think. So now I'm going to mix up the brown. So I want a good chocolatey brown, because I think they're supposed to be chocolatey. So I'm using a burnt sienna, which is the nice dark brown here. So that's kind of burnt sienna. Yeah. I think I might want a bit of burnt umber in there too. So I'm just going to test that. Actually, I'm just going to move that away so I've got a bit more paper to mess around with. So yeah, that one, yeah, probably that one. So that's more burnt umber than burnt sienna. So again, I'm going to mix up a good puddle of wash of burnt umber. That's generally the darkest brown you have in your painting kit, so that's about right. Okay, chocolate. So we have a brown one here. I'm just going to paint that, and it just sort of goes around the corner. Brown, 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 brown. Oops. Clunk. Oops. I could just move that wash around and leave it alone. So that will be fine. And just own your mistakes. It'll be fine. Be fine. So then we got a brown one. Again, mixing up a good puddle of wash down here. So I think it'll all become apparent once I put the licorice on it. So again, I'm just moving the wash around, and I'm just going to leave it because I don't want to fiddle. So brown one there, and there's a brown one there, and then I think we are more or less done apart from the weird bobbly ones. Right. So, where was my brown one? Oh, up near my topmost loo roll. So that's there. And I'm just going to drag that wash around, make it into a cube somehow, and drag that down. Okay. Okay, so that's the basic colours, and then now we've got to deal with, oh no, I've got the blue one to deal with, so I might actually use a slightly smaller brush and see which blue is most appropriate. So I have cerulean here, which I think is not bad, and I'm going to mix up a little bit of Prussian blue, or phthalo blue I think it is in here. So the basic colour is cerulean, and I want to blob on a few more darker dots, so I'm going to have that going on. So let's take, trying to think, right, okay, so I'm going to have the cerulean blue here. Oops, that's a bit dirty, that's annoying. Okay, get that cerulean blue going, and I want quite a wet wash because I want to do some fancy things to it. Yeah, I'll call that cerulean blue. And then what I want to do is actually pick up some of the wash to get this kind of bobbly effect. I don't know if I can do it with water. Let's have a go. So if I blob some water on, I might get some bobbles. Oh yeah. Can you see that the water's pushing away some of those colours? And so I'm going to use my slightly smaller brush and put some blobs back in. Ooh, maybe not quite so much. But being able to create texture quite quickly, that works quite well. And I might bobble on a little bit more. I mean, just going to add a little bit of water, but you're getting the effect of bubbles, sort of, kind of. And then I have another one. Oh no, that fell off the page. And so I have another one up here. Again, cerulean blue. And it's on its side. Wow, that's why you should always test. So I'm just going to use water just to water that. Oh dear, it's gone over that bit. To water down this effect, and I want that to be a bit lighter. And a little bit more cerulean blue. And I'm using my bit of kitchen towel to kind of control the water. So then I'm going to pick up some pure cerulean blue and have a bit of a bobble. You see, so that's wet. So everything's happily mushing together. And maybe a few more of those. And then some water. So I'm just taking pure water and bobbling it on. Bubble, bubble, bubble. And I think that's the blue. So then I got my pink bubbles, which I've only got one of that I can see. So I'm mixing up. I'm actually, because it's a warmer pink than the pink of the strawberry flavoured ones. So this is a bit of cadmium red and a little bit of the magenta. And again, I'm going to try and achieve the same effect with that. Unfortunately, it's looking very like the one next to it, but never mind. So let's have a bit of magenta going on. Woo! Let's put some bubbles in there. I want a few more down here. Bubble, bubble, bubble. And then I'm going to be adding just pure water to have this kind of bubbly effect without having to paint every single bubble. See, I'm fiddling, don't fiddle. Okay, so now I've got the basic colours on, and now I can start thinking about adding shadows, even though perhaps I should do something about the white licorice. So with the white licorice, what I'm going to do is actually use some Payne's Grey over here. Payne's Grey, which I will be using for the licorice as well. I don't tend to like to use black. But if you get a tense enough Payne's Grey, it works very well. And I'm just going to throw a bit of yellow ochre in there so it makes a kind of warmer grey. And trying to think. So I've got a shadow here of my licorice Allsorts, and also this also teaches you that with watercolours, what you want to do is actually leave your white as the white of the paper. So I'm just going to water that down a bit and go over here and actually lift that off. But I want the differentiation between the very light, which is white, and the dark as the shadow goes around the corner. So that is actually highlighted. Oh dear, that was a mistake. Never mind. That was a mistake. That's the trouble with fiddling. And again, so this white is not really white, so I need to put a little blob in there because it's in shadow. And oh, we got a white thing going on here, and again that's hitting an edge, so I'm just going to put some shadow there to indicate the edge, and I know I can paint the dark on the top. And then we've got this one, the central one, which is sort of, there's a little bit of texture in there, but again I want to highlight the white by having the shadow next to it. And again it's picking up the light just there, but it goes round the corner and it really is quite significantly darker just here. So I'm just going in there. Here. And then a little bit more. I want a bit of shadow. I might do that actually to add a little bit of texture. To have that go around the corner. Yeah, it's not really working. Right, and so bubble, 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 and then we got a dark one up here. I can just see, oops, that's a bit more lit up, so a bit of more yellow ochre in there, I think. And And what else have I got? Maybe one here. Oops, more grey. Make that seem like it's going round the corner. Oops. And then, ooh, I forgot to do a pink bobble. So if that's that one, I suppose this is this one. So that's a pink bobbly one. And again, I'm going to just use a slightly smaller brush with a bit of the magenta and probably a bit of the cadmium. Add some bobbles and add some water to get the idea of the bubbliness of it all. Ooh, maybe that colour. Bubble, bubble, bubble. Ooh, that's a bit intense. Never mind. Okay. Okay, and now I want to add the shadows to these objects. So what you do, you paint the lightest colour first, and then you paint the shadows. So again, I want some Payne's Grey to be my shadow. Let's see what colour that is. And for instance, this one has got a very nice crisp shadow underneath. So I'm just painting this on top with a brush that is not big enough. But I suppose as I've started, this is the problem. Well, you can see the problem when you use a brush that's slightly too small from the task in hand. You can't spread the paint on evenly and how you'd like it, but we'll leave it at that. So always use the biggest brush you can bear to use. So again, I've got a bit of a chocolatey one over here. So again, there's a bit of shadow here. And I'm just going to dilute that a bit to add a bit of shadow to this yellow. Again, I want a bit of texture going on, so and again, a bit of Payne's Grey. Ooh, I think so. The shadow's actually here. It's not very intense, but there is some intense shadow just there. Yeah, that's why you should always test your colours. So that one's actually casting a shadow on that one. Maybe I should make that just all darker. Yes, well, let's just leave that alone. Right, okay, so that's black, 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 black. So I've done that one, and then I've got some shadows going on here, there. So that pink one has a shadow here. Sort of. This one is there's definitely a shadow here. Let's just do that. I'm just looking at the subtleties of the actual shadows, but trying to ignore them. But that will probably do. So that one. Oh, and then we got our blue bubbly ones, and here we have a yellow one, the yellow loo roll. And again, what I'm putting on is that just that wash, yeah, to indicate where the shadow is. I'm just going to soften that with a little bit of water. So you're getting kind of a, not quite such a harsh edge. And again here, ooh, yeah, sort of working and sort of not. But let's just leave that alone. And then here again, so we got the shadow here going underneath that one, which I'm going to have to doctor in a minute, but then kind of catching the light as it turns the corner. So I'm just going to soften that edge there, give that sort of idea. And then this one I will have to add some shadow here, I think, to make it seem more three-dimensional. And I suppose I should do that to that one too. So that is actually like that. And then I suppose I need some shadows on my bobbly ones. So again, Payne's Grey. Yeah, Payne's Grey. Test it because it looks a bit dark. So here we got some bobbly shadows that go around there. Here there's quite a lot of shadow, and I'm trying to almost use dry brush to indicate where the shadows are. And this time I do need a smaller brush. To go around here, bubble, 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 bubble. And that pink one up there, that's got some bubbles, I mean that's got some shadow there, so bubble, bubble, bubble. And again a bit of dry brush. And that one too. Actually, I think that's still wet. Okay, and then we've got the shadows of the actual Liquorice Allsorts as well, which helps ground it. I think when to do that. Perhaps I should do it now. Okay, let's do it now. No, I think I should do it afterwards because I want to relate the tones. I'm just going to kitchen towel that a bit. Okay, so now we're going to go into serious licorice. And I'm just feeling where it's dry. I don't want this to be wet because I want these licorice lines to be very precise. So here I've got some Payne's Grey. But in a bit more of a punchier form. It's from a tube, and that's going to be my licorice. You can use black, but I prefer Payne's Grey. Okay, so here we go. Let's paint a Liquorice Allsorts. So I'm just going to go in there, and you can see the dark sits over the light really quite fine. Okay, there we go, Liquorice Allsort. And then I've got this one, which is sort of like that. I'm not being madly accurate. You can be as madly accurate as you was, but I have painted it many times, in fact. And I have done accurate ones, but let's just get that licorice on that Liquorice Allsort, and you can see how easy and fun this is. But that needs spreading out a bit to make me sandwich. And I'm glad I let time for the shadows, because just to be able to relate one to the other. So let's look at a slightly bigger brush. Oh, let's try that one. So this is my Chinese brush, which I used last week, because I wanted to paint this thing. So this kind of goes around like that. It's kind of an oval, having been a squash tube. And in fact, it sort of goes like that, and then like that. And I'm just going to fill in that with the black. Oh dear, I'm fiddling now. But what I want actually is some brown, because licorice does have this brownness to it. So I'm going to put some brown in there. And you're getting the idea of it being a little bit lighter and a little bit more like licorice. And then we want some more. So here I've got a sort of Harlequin one, Battenberg cake with just licorice and white, and then got licorice down here. There we go. Yeah, that might need tweaking. So actually, after you've done this, it's a good idea to do some tweaking of shadows and things. But I just want to demonstrate how easy this is. So again, licorice. Ooh, not enough Payne's Grey. Going around the corner. Licorice and licorice. Okay, going a bit blobby, but never mind. So it's kind of disappearing around the corner. Oh, we've got a bit of licorice here. And licorice here. Sort of. And then some licorice here. And a little bit of licorice here. And you see it's all coming together, and it's such an easy exercise to know that you can paint dark over light. Again, I think that's a little bit watery, so I'm going to use my kitchen towel just to take a little bit of the wash off. So another loo roll. There we go. And we've got some licorice over here, which I didn't put the shadow on the edge of my thing. Oh, this one where I was going to try and paint it backwards because that went wrong. So that's like that, and they do meet, and then that goes around the corner. So you can cover up a whole heap of mistakes with some dark colour. Oh, that's quite effective in the end. And then we've got another orange one, and then we've got this one. Just like that. There we go. Oh, I haven't painted that big old bit of licorice in the middle there, which will come in the end. So then again, we got some here, and another loo roll, and a nice chunky pink one right in the middle, and then it kind of turns a corner, eek, goes down like that, and then one over here, oops, and one over here, and then one here, another loo roll. Now what am I missing? So I'm missing this big bit of licorice. Oh, there's another big bit of licorice. So I'll just go in here and paint the edges, I think. Come round here to show the licorice tube. And pick up some of that brown, because licorice does have this brown tinge to it. Okay, and then I've got this one to do. So this, oops, I think I need my paints grey. So I've got a big old licorice tube here. It sort of does that. I'll call it that's underneath that one, but it isn't, but never mind. And then I'm just going to show the lightness just by adding water to that area there. So you get this idea of things happening. Right, well I think that definitely does need a little bit of tweaking with the shadows, but you can see you're getting a nice idea. So I do need to put the shadows of this, of the light, oh sorry, the light created by the shadows, shadows created by the light. Now, so I've got my Payne's grey, and I'm going to have a little bit of yellow ochre in there. That seems all a bit intense. And then I could start thinking about putting the shadows in, and that will bring out the whiteness of the Liquorice Allsort, one hopes. Down here, I'm just seeing what the shadow actually does. And then this is almost defined, so the white is defined by the background. And I'm just going to have a bit of a smush with water. When in doubt, just add a bit more water. Ooh, yeah, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm leaving that for the moment because I know that one's still wet, but I do want to have shadows in here, which, as I say, will define the white of the white ones. I'm just leaving a little edge between them. There we go, that's sort of working. And then over here, I didn't take my pink far enough, but I could always add some more later. Let's take it away. There we go. So we're getting the idea of this Liquorice Allsort. And you can see the shadows are bringing them out. And a nice thing to do sometimes when you're doing shadows is just to add a little bit of water, just make them not so quite as dense and as thick as they go on initially. So I think I might want something over here. This is really quite dark over here, but that is kind of defining the lightness of the Liquorice Allsort. And over here, as I say, I'm just a bit worried because that is still wet, but what I'm going to do, because it does fade to the light here, is just add a bit of water here, and you see it is wet. And then I want to pick up a bit of this. No, I think I might leave that because it is wet. And over here, there's some shadow. Right. And they kind of define the Liquorice Allsort. I just realised I haven't done a shadow on here, which I should do. And I haven't done a shadow on here, which I should also do. So we're getting this nice chunky feel of Liquorice Allsorts, and again the shadows bring out the colour and the light. To get the light right, you've got to get the shadows right. This is a bit slapdash, but you get the idea, and you can spend longer on it. You don't want to stand here and watch me paint for hours and hours. So I'm just going in there, adding that shadow, 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 here. And you can see they are coming out of the shadows. So I'm just going to go in here, add some shadow in there. That needs to be darker. And over here there's a little bit more light going on, but not a huge amount. So I'm just going to add this to here, and this to here. And again, I didn't put my Liquorice Allsorts in. Bit of Payne's Grey, a bit of Liquorice, and then I'm just going to add a bit more shadow around here. And I would recommend, rather than doing it from a photograph or a tablet or anything, is actually do it from the real thing. It's much better because A, it doesn't keep switching off, and B, you're dealing with the real colour. When you're on a tablet, you're getting a kind of different perception because it's from light. And in fact, but it's quite a good compositional tool. So earlier, oops, I took a photo of my Liquorice Allsorts just to get an idea of a compositional tool. Well, don't paint from that. Paint from real life, because you can see the light is a bit duller, and all you're doing is really copying a sort of well-lit photograph. So that's Liquorice Allsorts for you. Have fun, and just enjoy the colours, enjoy the light, and it's a very good way of getting used to painting in watercolours, light to dark, light to dark, light to dark in watercolours. Have that tattooed on your forehead or something if you like watercolours. And next week what we're going to do is portraits and watercolours, the hardest thing in the world to paint, but we're going to give it a go. And we're going to try and simplify it for you. Well, I just want to show you, having done my Liquorice Allsorts, I then went on and did gobstoppers. And that is a lovely exercise to do in the jar, apart from my daughter came along and ate half of them. But you can see, just enjoy those colours and just be in that moment to copy those things. Anyway, see you next week for watercolour portraits.